Hello, my name is Ben Reed, and in this video we'll be going through what is full disk encryption and how does DESlock provide full disk encryption for customers. So first, full disk encryption is basically data at rest protection. What this is protecting from is that if someone steals your computer and they then turn it on, they are prevented from going any further than a pre-boot login screen. This is also protecting so that if someone takes your computer and pulls the hard drive out of the computer, typically without full disk encryption, they can insert that hard drive into any other computer and have access to all of your data, even though they did not know your passwords. Because that's how the hard drive data is actually stored. It's typically stored in a non-encrypted fashion. So full disk encryption goes ahead and makes sure that that data is protected when the computer is restarted, shut down, or hibernated. So the first component of full disk encryption is after full disk encryption is done, a pre-boot screen exists on the machine. And a pre-boot screen looks like the BIOS, something that people might be familiar with. That's why it doesn't have any flashy colors or flashy graphics. And this pre-boot screen will come up every time you reboot the computer, shut down the computer, or hibernate it, because we need to make sure that the hard drive is protected at rest. So this screen is where your users will log into the machine. Instead of seeing that Windows screen, this is the screen that they will see first. Because not even Windows is able to access the hard drive, and therefore be able to even boot up. So if you know your credentials to log into a system, you can simply click Start System, and you'll be logged into Windows if you enable what's called single sign-on. Because if you're on a domain, we can enable single sign-on and DESlock will automatically cache your Windows credentials, so that users still only need to enter in a single username and password, and we will log them completely into their computer. So just instead of seeing the Windows login, they will see this login, and nothing else changes from that standpoint. However, one of the main problems is that users forget their passwords. And because this screen comes up before Windows loads, before drivers load, and so forth, we need to make sure that no matter where a user might be, maybe they're at Starbucks, maybe they're at home, that they can get into the system when they need to. So we also have this Lost Details button. And you can completely customize the message that it says below. So you could say, if you forget your password, please call us at this phone number and give me your employee ID so I can prove who you are, that you are who you say you are. Then as an administrator, I can simply go to the enterprise server, find your computer within the enterprise server, and I can choose to recover your password. I won't know what your password used to be. However, I will get a one-time utilization password. And it will even spell out the phonetics and how I can easily convey that password to the user. The user can then enter in this password. Then once they're logged into Windows, it will let them know, hey, you forgot your password. Please go ahead and reset it. This password will be reset just like their Windows password is, and will cache that new Windows password. So everything will always stay in sync, no matter where a user is, no matter if they have internet access or not. After their password is changed successfully, we send a simple command back over towards the management server, just letting it know that the password was changed successfully. And we do that to allow the management server to invalidate this one-time use password, so that someone can't write it down and store it and use it at any other point in time. And then, if the user were to forget their password another time, we would have a brand new one-time use password that we can give them over the phone. So we always make sure that no matter where a user is, whether they have internet access or not, they have the ability to log in to the computer. We also go ahead and make sure that all of your same password policies stay in place. So if you are using single sign-on with your domain, we'll make sure that if you have users set to reset their password every 90 days, every 6 months, that they will still receive the exact same password prompts that they're familiar with to reset their passwords at those scheduled intervals. So now that you know what full disk encryption is, how do we go about executing this on a machine? Because people typically aren't familiar with full disk encryption. They've never used it before, or they've never implemented it before. So with DESlock, we understand that. We know that people might not be familiar with this. So we try and help users and administrators along throughout the entire process. So within DESlock, you can kick off the full disk encryption command. It will explain what full disk encryption actually means. It will then even do a compatibility check on the specific hardware that you're attempting to encrypt. Because we know not everyone reads manuals. They don't read compatibility guides. So instead of requiring users and administrators to do that, we'll go ahead and we'll run through a battery of tests for you. If you want to double check and make sure that everything's going to run very smoothly, you can also enable Safe Start mode. And Safe Start mode will run through a few more pre-boot tests to confirm that everything will work. Or you can run our normal mode, which will just go ahead and enable and start that encryption process. You click Next again, then you choose whatever user or users will go ahead and be utilizing whatever computer you're initiating the full disk encryption with. Then finally, you can either specify a password for them, you can require the user to specify a password, or if you're on an Active Directory domain, you can enable single sign-on so that they can use their same Windows username and password to log into the system. Finally, click Next, choose whatever disk or disks you would like to encrypt, and then you click the Start Encryption process. And directly from the management server, you'll be able to see the process. You'll see how far along it is in that encryption process. You can also go ahead and the users on their end can keep working. They can keep doing things. They can reboot their computer. And there's at no risk that they're actually going to ruin or damage the encryption process at all. Once the encryption process is done, next time the users reboot the computer, they will be greeted with this pre-boot screen. Then, like I said, if you know your credentials, you can just go ahead and enter them, and then you'll be completely logged into the system and logged into Windows if single sign-on is enabled. Then the other great thing about full disk encryption is in case of losing a laptop or employee termination. Because typically if someone loses a laptop, you need to make sure that you can wipe that computer and protect your information. Or in a case of an employee termination, you want to make sure that all of your data is safe and secure before someone picks up the phone and tells them that they're terminated. Because if you don't, they have access to the email that they can send to people that they maybe shouldn't. They have access to files that they could take or send to other people that maybe they shouldn't. So if that's the situation that you're in, you can simply hop into whatever computer you want from the DESlock management server, and you can choose Disable. And Disable will give you the ability to remove their logins to the machine. You can even go ahead and tell it that you would want it to reboot the computer immediately. So as long as the computers have internet access, there's no firewall changes that need to be made, there's no network changes that need to be made. Once you issue this command, as long as that computer has internet, we will reboot the computer and we will remove their logins. The management server will then let you know this was done successfully. Now you can have someone pick up the phone and let them know they've been terminated. We also have the ability to remove all of the logins, including the built-in admin login that we create every single time full disk encryption is done. Typically, you only want to use this option if you think that you're never ever going to get the laptop back. Because if you do get the laptop back, there's no way to recover the data that was on that laptop. So if you do think there's a possibility that you will get the laptop back, only choose to remove the user logins. Then when you get it back, you have the ability to log in as the admin and recover any data on that machine, and then go ahead and provision that computer for someone else. And this goes ahead and concludes our video on full disk encryption utilizing DESlock. Thank you very much.